when you talk about Parliament and talking about the fact that maybe some of the legislators have been bought, it is within their democratic right to move to the coalition that they feel perhaps, in their own view, would serve, in their interest, the interest of those they represent.
Then we live in this country. We know what was happening that time. We know. We know what was happening. In fact, some of them are regretting. And I'm happy to tell you that as a recognition, because they've spoken to us after that. So we made a mistake. Today, Wiper is not fronting a candidate for the by-election in Garissa. We are supporting UDM candidates. To tell our friends, we are still friends. We can still work together in the Azimio la Umoja One Kenya. Okay? So, well, that was a capture, for sure. Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the election, just reflecting back on what exactly happened during that time. Just a few weeks ago, we've had many sensational claims on why Azimio did not make it in the August election.
My son Kennedy, I think, was...
Just tell us, what exactly went wrong in your own retrospection?
No, nothing went wrong. No. This is what I'm saying, Zainab. As far as I'm concerned, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya did well. Of course, a few things, let me correct myself, must have gone wrong with the fact that we may have wanted an agent here, we don't have an agent here. We may have wanted some approach in this place, we didn't have it, all right? And I'm quite sure the same would have applied to our opponents in UDA. But generally, so I personally believe that is why when the Supreme Court threw out the petition by Raila Odinga and Martha Karua, and use unpalatable language, right? I'm a lawyer. I was saddened to hear words like hot hair coming from the judiciary, all right? When some wonderful young lawyer put up a very big spirited argument presentation, you call that hot hair. That was really the climax of misrule, if you like, in this country.
In a unanimous decision?
Unanimous, yeah. We also follow these things. Unanimous decision, yeah. But was it really unanimous? The truth of the matter was, again, as I said, after that state capture of the judiciary, we said we are duty bound by that decision, but we do not agree. And I hope history will lay bare the facts of what happened with regard to the procedure of announcement of the results of Bomas of Kenya, and culminating in the in what happened in the Supreme Court. By the way, the Supreme Court exercising supremacy of jurisdiction orders one of the players to open the servers. Blatantly, that particular smartmatic operative say no, pleading intellectual property rights. Now ask yourself, is the Supreme Court subject to the mandate of the smartmatic? That to me is the crux of the matter. And I hope that things will be laid bare as we move forward into 2023. We started conversations with Kenyan people. We had one in Kamukunji, and it was peaceful, demonstrating the maturity of the Kenyan people to have dialogue. And I really applaud our Bill of Rights and the Constitution 2010. If it wasn't for that, I think this country will have gone backwards. And we hope nobody, not even UDA administration, will dare take this country backwards. So the right to assemble, the right to hold different opinions, the right of assembly, as demonstrated in Kamukunji, where people felt we were going to have protests. We said no, peaceful demonstrations are in the Constitution. And if it becomes necessary in 2023, it will be the normal thing to do. And I don't think the administration will be doing Azimio la Umoja any favor by allowing those things to continue, because they're in the Constitution.
So if not a protest, what exactly was the key agenda of holding these assemblies?
First of all, that time, we wanted to deal with this issue of the 4 commissioners who were being subjected to kangaroo court arrangements through the Committee of Parliament, remember? Committee of Parliament, lacking mandate, and then they go there and say, an independent commission can have a tribunal set up. Therefore, I celebrate Commissioner Masit. She said, no, I will not be coerced. I will not accept what others have done. And she has said it, actually. Threats and that kind of thing, intimidation. Why? Why would anybody be afraid of the truth? So I hold the view, because I attended one of the sessions of the House committee, and it was amazing. You could see they were in a hurry to make recommendations, have a tribunal appointed, which tribunal, I'm a lawyer, in my view, that whole thing is void ab initio. So, Commissioner Masit is fighting on. That's part of 100 days arrangements you're talking about, which I think is unfortunate. Yeah.
Still back to, my question of exactly what happened in the election. Well, there is one particular claim that has come out quite strongly, is that perhaps the leaders of Azimio la Umoja One Kenya coalition relied a little bit too much on President Uhuru Kenyatta, the former president, and the so-called deep state. And
it was me, actually, who used the word deep state.
Right. And eventually neglected the very basic principles of campaign.
I'm telling you, we won the election. So what is all that hula-baloo around? Both President Ruto and Raila are actually not averse to the idea of having an audit of the election 2022. Because there must be something beyond a Supreme Court. So the Kenyans will know the truth. I hold the view personally that 2013 elections, Raila and I did not lose. I hold the view that in 2017, we didn't lose. I hold the same view in 2022, we did not lose. Mother and Raila did not lose the election. So we must get rid of this culture of stolen elections. Therefore, one of my recommendations really to Parliament, both houses of Parliament, is to review this whole thing about the conduct of a general election. I think everybody knows that 2002 was acclaimed as the most successful general election. I don't remember whether we had electronic voting in 2002. So we should go back to what we did in 2002. This electronic voting, I said earlier on in an interview, and I think I'm old enough in this country and the world to know what happens. There are super cyber arrangements that if I pay somebody and say, let's meet in Dubai, you make me president, pay me, they're not $1 billion, but they pay. And that's exactly what happened with Smartmatic. They make you president. So what is the point of a poor Kenyan mama from Kajiado going to vote, believing that our vote matters? It is hijacked by other interests. But therefore, and not just in Kenya, I think Africa and the world needs to ask themselves this question. I think the Parliament should revisit the law relating to general election conduct in Kenya. I would want us to go back to manual voting. Because this electronic thing is what has brought pain, suffering, mourning, and misrule. But not just in this country, in a few other countries.